Okay, we're back with another episode of Off Course. We've been away for a while now, and I got Varshan with me. You saw him on one of our earlier episodes. I don't remember what episode that was, like maybe third or the second one.
Feels like a long time ago.
It's been a while, but anyways, we're back, and we have another co-host with us today. Actually, where's he at? I'm operating the camera, so everything is a mess right now. There he is. Aravind, introduce yourself, sir.
Oh, hey guys, my name is Aravind Chandra. I'm a local real estate agent who specializes in commercial properties. Thanks for having me on, Hamilton, man. This is good.
That wasn't the intro I was expecting. I thought he was going to get on with his comedian ways. But he did
yeah.
it,
My comedian
one more time.
My comedian ways? Okay, all right. So my name is Aravind Chandra. I'm a stand-up comedian and a podcaster as well, too. I have a podcast called The Dash Podcast. We just talk about Tamil cinema. So, hit me up there if you ever want to talk about anything, or topics that you guys want us to discuss. But thanks, Hamilton, for that intro.
Okay, so again, this is our first episode back. We haven't filmed in a long time, so this might have some technical difficulties. We're definitely trying to adjust all our cameras so everything looks good. So just look past that. Hopefully we're able to entertain you, give us some feedback, and we're trying to grow this thing into some. We're not exactly sure what this is, but we will be covering a lot of real estate and your day-to-day stuff. So who wants to pick it up right now? Arvind, Varshan?
I think Aravind, let's go, man. You had a good topic. You got a good topic.
What were you talking about?
With the condos and
What? Condos are a great
and the
investment
investments.
Are they a good investment?
I don't know. Condos are a great investment, supposedly, because nothing's selling, right? So it's a great time to invest in these. Is that what we're hearing now? I don't know, man. There's some realtors out there.
You know
who are
what it
kind of
is?
performing it.
Okay, like when it comes to investment, you got to give numbers, right? And if you're looking at, putting down 35-40% down and cash flow, sure, it's a good investment, right? But if you're sold the idea that, hey, this is going to appreciate, very quickly and you're going to make a ton of money with 20% down, that's definitely not the case. I think I saw a stat somewhere. I don't know where, but I think it was CIBC or somewhere that posted that majority of condos in Toronto or GTA are underwater, like as investment, right? So when you're saying investments, I don't think makes a lot of sense. Starter home for your future kids, or a retirement space for yourself, like those might be actual usages,
yes.
right? Because I know people who bought condos for their aging parents to live closer to them, right?
Yeah.
For example, like people who live in Durham, they bought in Pickering or, Ajax, whatever it may be. Those might make sense because they want their parents to live closer. That's a lifestyle decision. But investment, nah, I'm not for it, man.
Yeah, neither am I. It's just so I've had a bunch of people reach out to me recently about like investing in real estate, in pre-con condos. I think the thing is, like, if you're looking at it as investment, like, where is the investment? If you don't see the market appreciating, why are we tying up our money for X amount of years, essentially just putting the money in the builder's hands?
Yeah.
And you're praying for this market to spin around on you. And I get all the comparisons, like, hey, the market's going to trend up, and it historically has been. But like, I think we know that we're in economic trouble. It takes a few years to get out of it. So this might be the moment where we just need to pause and pull back, right? Ervin, I think you had a point here to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just time that we kind of reassess what is an investment. Like, I think people should really ask that question.
Yeah.
When when your realtor approaches you, right, and they say, oh, it's a great investment, you're gonna make this much money and everything, don't base it off of hope. Please, for the love of God, don't.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people had hope in 2021, 2022 when buying these properties.
Hoping is not a strategy.
Yeah, hoping is not.
That's great. Yeah.
It's not a strategy. Can I swear on this? I don't know.
You can swear. Yeah.
It's not a motherfucking strategy, guys. Like, let's just cut to the bullshit, okay? Numbers. It all comes down to numbers, right? And that's where, like, you want to deal with professionals who actually have had experiences or losses in the past, and they can actually guide you towards that, informative, and that helps you make informative decisions, right? So a lot of, like, I think we were talking about this earlier too, is, there is great opportunity, don't get me wrong, to buy a property right now, but I'm not talking as investment, but if you are a first-time home buyer, yes. If you are looking to upsize, yes. But investment, don't bother with it right now.
Yeah.
Right?
As you're saying this, it's just occurring to me now. I don't know if I can articulate it properly, but it was like the perfect storm, right? In the sense where you had COVID happening, and then you also had social media emerging, right? So if you think about it, like, when did you get on social media, Varshan?
Yeah, I would say 2019, 18, somewhere around that time.
So
yeah.
that was kind of like the cusp of it.
Yeah,
Like it was just starting around that time. Because I remember buying one of these cameras in 2019, thinking about doing it, and I didn't do it, right? And so my point is, for us as realtors, the best product we can sell when we have no skin in the game and when we're brand new to the business is pre-con.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I was just going to say, because there's no complexity to it. The builder provides all the sales material.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to make any like, I guess calculations or your own like due diligence or whatever it is, right? Whereas like a resale property, you got to now do the market analysis. You got to figure out, is this city in a growth stage? Is this neighborhood in a growth stage, right? What is the cash flow going to look like? Like you got to do all of that, right? And let's be honest, a lot of, not just realtors, mortgage brokers, whatever it is, professionals are not willing to do that, right?
Yeah.
They want to be given what it is and then just go
push
and
out,
sell it,
push out
right?
exactly what they got.
That's
right?
what it is. So
Yeah.
that's the issue, right? Like,
and they're not in a position, they don't have the experience to be able to provide, like, as you're saying, to do that work because they're still fresh, right? Like I'm just speaking for myself, right? When I first started in the business, pre-con is what I really like survived off of for all the reasons you are giving right now.
And sorry to interrupt. Like, I just want to also say, like, we all bought pre-con.
Yeah.
So
We all started with pre-con.
We're not
Everybody starts
saying
with
it's
pre-con.
like the worst investment or don't look at it, but we're also saying right now is not the time, right? Like, especially a pre-construction condo, right? Like,
exactly.
it doesn't make a lot of sense unless,
Some builders though, like especially in the Seton area,
Yeah.
like Mattamy, they are priced at exactly what it's going for, like right now, like
In the
resale,
market.
I would
Oh,
say.
yeah.
So in that sense, I would for sure be like, thank you guys. But the other builders who are just pushing out like $200,000, $300,000 extra on top of what resale is, like I look at that, I'm like, who's actually buying this? And how are you incentivized? Like sometimes, like we get emails from builders saying, like 4% for commission for this or 5% commission for this.
I've seen higher.
Yeah. I mean, at one time,
I swear there was a condo in Oshawa doing 10% at a time. No,
And probably a free Porsche or a gold
free
bar
Porsche,
or
free this,
something
free
like
that,
this.
right?
Yeah.
So when all these incentivizations are coming in, and then publicly they say, you get a free car, you get a free this.
Yeah.
That's when you really need to kind of
it's gimmicky, right?
Yeah. You got to really step back and assess the situation, because why is there so much incentives for a project that should be so good?
Yeah.
And how is there so much room in the deal that they can even pay all this out, right?
Yeah.
But I guess like just circling
That's
back.
their willingness to or unwillingness to reduce the price.
Right?
Yeah,
Exactly. And so I guess just to circle back real quick, I was just saying in the perfect storm, and like we went through this period where social media was just popping off.
Yeah.
COVID conditions like interest rates, the economical environment was primed. And then you have all this content that's just new. Like we were just absorbing.
And let's
and
not
everyone's pushing the same thing.
Let's not forget the savings that everyone was able to gather together because they can't travel, they can't go out and eat. Like people were saving tons of money just staying at their homes for that like year or 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing we had the greatest amount of savings in history in that period, right?
Yes.
So what are people going to do? They're going to invest it, right? And obviously people know the stock market has its ups and downs, right? And it's a little bit more liquid. More Canadians are into real estate, right? So so that's the other added part of it, right?
That's true, exactly. So all of that, it contributed to the perfect storm. And if you really look back on it, pre-construction hasn't made sense since like 2017. Like since Kathleen
even
Wynne,
before that, bro, it was still like expensive.
But at least I would say at least in the past, you were
or
getting
at least they've regained they've made money, right? That's the thing. I think anyone who bought up until honestly 2020, right, made money. 2021 is when it started to.
So like we've seen cycles, right? So when I first bought my property back in 2010 or 11, I bought a pre-con condo, and it was in Etobicoke, right? At that time it was $220,000, okay? And I was like, bro, this is expensive, because in 2011 you can buy one in Blue Jays Way for like I think maybe $20,000 more, right? But obviously I don't have the cash up front to give it, you know what I mean? So I had to buy a pre-con, and then obviously that price kind of rose up, right? So 2011 price started going up, 2012 it went up, 2013, and then it dropped back down a little bit. around 2013, and then it spiked back up 2014, 15, 16. We saw heights, right?
Yeah, we came out of the recession.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
started growing.
And then 2017, as soon as the mortgage stress test came in April 2017, we saw prices go right back down, right? And then it was slowly regaining itself in 2019, little by little. And then 2020, everyone's like, yo, we're fucked. Like, we're going to get wiped out. But what happened? Like, money was super cheap.
Yeah.
Right? Money was super cheap to borrow, so you could borrow against it, and that's when people were realizing that we could buy a house for this. Like, let's just say at that time, Barshan, $1 million mortgage was how much? Like 3,500, 3,400 at max. Max, right? Now that same mortgage amount is on a $650,000 mortgage.
Yeah.
Right. So or 600. Yeah. 650.
No, the payment is definitely much higher. Yeah.
Right. So your what is it? Your purchase ability was much more higher at that time. So all of these kind of just. It like you said, it's a perfect storm where money was cheap, interest rates was low, and the false hope that even I had too is that even if interest rates did go back up, it's not going to go to like 4, 5, 6%.
Yeah, you know what?
No one.
I don't think anybody.
Yeah.
Like we've never experienced that. Like no one could have forecasted that.
And honestly, we did pretty well in terms of like market wise. Like if like you would imagine like rates going from 1.59 to 7%, which it did at one point. You would think the market's going to crash. People are not going to afford their houses. Like, you know what I mean? Especially like a lot of people took variable at the time, right? But I feel like we weathered that storm pretty well. Like, we had market drops, right? Like, especially in like, Richmond Hill, Durham, right? But it's not as bad as
it could have been.
It could have been, right?
But like, but the thing is, like, a lot of these, new investors that kind of got false hope from other realtors about the pre-cons, like we said, like they got wiped out.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a specific segment of people that were over leveraged.
Yeah, over leveraged.
I think you were sharing something about a TikTok that was going around,
man.
right?
Yeah. I mean, can we talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Go for it.
This is a TikTok that I saw like literally was last night, and I sent it to Hamilton as well too, and I was like, yo, check this out.
Yeah, we won't name the names.
We won't name names, right? But so pretty much what happened was there was a guy, it was probably a Tamil guy that bought a house in 2005 for like 400,000 or something like that. And then come 2022 or 2021, obviously his house value kind of shot up to like 1.2. So a realtor buddy comes along and he's like, hey, why don't you get a HELOC or something like that, and you can buy 2 houses, right? And then after, just like how your house went up in value, now these houses will go up in value. And if it doesn't sell, then don't worry, we'll like sell it on assignment. So what this piece of shit realtor did, piece of shit is like, I'm being very, very nice with my words with that. What this piece of shit realtor did was he got a HELOC for this guy for $400,000, got him two $2 million houses, two $2 million houses.
So $4 million worth of real estate with 400,000.
400,000, okay?
That's not even a down payment.
No,
man.
that's a no-brainer.
Down payment is,
Like, bro, that was 10% down on the house pretty much, on each house. So this guy was like, oh, don't worry. Like, we can assign it. Come closing, right? He doesn't have the money. Obviously, this like builders are like, okay, you don't have the money, then we're going to have to sell it. So they sold the house for like a loss, like 1.5 or something like that. Christ, okay. Man. So now $1.5 million, right? $500,000 lost. The builders are like, yo, Tamil guy that bought the house, come over here. You owe us this much money, right? Now, keep in mind, he doesn't have anything at this point because he's probably at max 2 on his HELOC at his on his main residence, right? So he's like in dire situation right now. And there's so many of these situations.
Yeah. And those payments are not cheap too with the HELOC rates being prime plus 0.5.
It was almost like 9%, 9.5%.
Like 10%. At a point, it was probably like 7 something. Yeah.
It was high, bro. It wasn't cheap, right? So now we have those situations. And like it keeps going back to this. I'm like, is it the realtor's fault for going and, selling this, right? Because, that's his bread and butter. Or is it the client's fault for wanting more and being greedy? Whose fault is it at the end of the day?
Yeah,
right.
It's a great question.
Yeah, because as a realtor, your job, like my job, obviously, whenever I talk to clients, I sit down with them and assess everything.
Yeah.
Right. What your financials are, what you can afford, right? And then I'm like, okay, and I'll probably call you and I'll be like, bro, I think this is what their range is.
Yeah.
Can we make it happen? And then you call, you assess everything properly.
Yeah.
And you call me back, be like, everyone, no, it's not this. We can probably do like somewhere close to it, but it's not that, right?
So you want to go for it?
Yeah, for sure. I think at the end of the day, we as professionals have a fiduciary duty to our clients, right? And at the end of the day, if you're not doing right by your client, then yeah, you are in the wrong.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Even like little things where like, okay, a client wants to buy $1 million house, but they qualify for a mortgage of 500,000. So you explain to them like, listen, you could qualify for $1 million if you do this and this, which is, maybe get a cosigner, maybe get some additional down payment.
Yeah.
But also let them know, hey, getting a cosigner also means, let's say it's your parents are not going to help you with the mortgage payment. Your mortgage payment is going from like, let's say $4,000 or like 3,500 to like $6,000.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to make that money?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, do you understand like cosigner? Yeah, you qualify for the loan,
Yeah.
but do you understand? So those things like people are not explaining, right?
Yeah.
Like they're just like, okay, you want $1 million? We'll get it done. Right.
Yeah, it's like
and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, people are moving as if like things are certain, right? And things are not certain. You have to do a risk assessment, and then you do need a contingency plan, right? And so like you have to prepare for the possibility that the market could shift in any direction.
Yes.
So like I think for me with my clients, I was telling these guys, like we've been on a hot run for a long time. We've been calling for a recession for almost 5 years now, right? They say every decade you're supposed to incur a recession. And from 2017, 2018, we were calling for a recession. It just felt like we kept avoiding it for whatever reason. We were performing better. And so I remember having these conversations with my clients saying, hey, listen, realistically, rates will go up. One thing that I could never have prepared my guys for is the way rates went up.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. None of us could have predicted that. If we knew hindsight, like everyone would have taken a fix. Like there's no doubt about it. If someone told you, like, listen, you have variables cheaper, but in a year it's gonna be double.
Yeah, because
what do you
variable
want?
to fix wasn't a big difference either, right?
It wasn't, man. It's like maybe like 0.2, 0.3 lower. It wasn't a lot.
Yeah. So I would just say, like, in terms of whose fault it is, I think I don't know that you can blame one person, but both parties have to take responsibility.
Both parties for sure.
And I think, like, I guess the responsibility probably lies with us more than the client.
I agree.
Because we're the experts and we're supposed to guide our people. And if they're putting their trust in us fully, then yes, we do have to kind of assume. But I would say, like, to these people, like, as much as you trust your guy, it's like when you go car shopping, you're still going to ask around. Right, you're still going to talk to a few other people to see if this makes sense. If what this person is saying is in alignment with what's actually happening in the market. And so, like, that's where, not to deflect, but that's where I would say some of these people should have taken a few more opinions. Right, and to kind of, I know I'm going to get backlash for this as if we're like blaming them. No, I do think it is our responsibility for the most part because we are supposed to be the experts. Right.
Well, that's where it comes down to like investment, right? As an investment specialist, like there should be some sort of like designation for that, like at least a basic understanding, right? Like I'm not sure how it works for you guys as realtors, but even as mortgage people, like you should get some sort of training or coaching to, if you want to work with investments, because investments is like a whole different game. It is, right? It is, you're buying your first home, or you're buying a home that you're gonna live in. That's very different. That's why I feel like more people do more due diligence on a home they're gonna live in than an investment. You know what I mean? Like they care to the little detail of like, hey, that flooring like it's a little squeaky. You know what I mean? Like, but so whereas investment, like, bro, they're like not even running the basic numbers of like, okay, if mortgage rates were in 5 years gonna be higher, or whatever it may be, like do a stress test on the rate, right? Do a stress test on the rate and be like, okay, does this investment still make sense in like 5-10 years, right? Or what is my time horizon? Am I looking to just keep this for 10 years, sell it? Like I have clients who literally buy investment property 10 years so they can sell that investment property and pay off the primary residence and their mortgage free.
Exactly, because that's part of a long-term plan.
Exactly. So have a plan, right? Like, and that's like if you're
banking on equity build at that
like
point,
you
right?
talk to a financial planner, they're building a whole plan out for you, right? But real estate, for some reason, no one wants a plan. No one wants even a spreadsheet. Like, show me the floor plan. I'm like, that's it. That's what they do. Talk about tenant risk. Right? Talk about property risk. Talk about, capital risk, interest rate risk. Like, there's so many risks, right?
That's the thing, man. Like, so people, like, this is when I used to work at my old office. Like, people will come be like, oh, we want to buy investment property and everything. And, they'll be like, okay, no problem. Property tax, even the mortgage from the country, not. And I look at them, I'm like, yo, that's still not an investment, man. That's not cash flowing at all for you. right? And I would be like, okay, yeah, no problem, but how's your other finances? And some people do get butthurt. There's been a lot of people who get butthurt because I tell them exactly how it is. I don't tell them what they want to hear. I tell them, yo, this is what your scenario is. I don't think this is feasible right now for you. And they hate me, right? And then 2 years later, if I see them and I had talked to them, they'd be like, yeah, I bought this and I know you advised me against it, but I still did it.
That's how it goes.
Yeah,
You know what?
And
I'll share a story.
Yeah.
Like that reminds me of a story. Like I had this one client.
Yeah.
She reached out to me in 2020.
Okay.
Okay. And
Did
she
you
was
tell me about this? I don't know. You may
no
have
no
told me
no
about
no. This is actually the first time because it was like it's pretty recent. Like connection.
Okay.
So she reached out in 2020, actually on Instagram. She asked for some advice. I gave her advice, right? And like she ended up getting we didn't end up working together at the time. But she took my advice, right?
Okay.
She came back to me 5 years and she's like, I waited for my renewal so I can work with you.
Yeah.
Because you're the only one I spoke to that gave me the honest advice that actually worked to my benefits.
Yeah.
And just to give you guys some insight, it was between a fixed and a variable.
Okay.
And she didn't know what option to take.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, she couldn't qualify to go with another bank, right? So I told her, just stick to your own bank, right? In a few years, we can work together if your situation has changed. Basically, her husband was laid off, so they had one income, right, at the time. And I told her, you have one income. It's not worth taking variable, even though it's lower, right? Just take the fixed, and at least you know your guaranteed payment. And at that time, rates were pretty sweet, right? At least you get the guaranteed payment. Obviously, we know what happened. I'm not saying I called the thing, but like you actually assess the person's situation.
No, that's great that you said that, bro.
But did the business come back to you because of that?
She said, I waited 5 years so I can work together with you. My husband's been working, like he got a job like a few months after, right? They just couldn't do it before the renewal. So they couldn't shop around. Like he literally just lost his job because of COVID. Like his company was impacted by it, right? They did layoffs. So anyways, like those are like the things that like go back to your story. Like you give people proper advice, you're going to last long in the industry, and you're also going to work with people that, actually do the research themselves too. So it makes your job easier.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these people that are on, like we said, social media is picking up and all that stuff. A lot of these social media TikTokers,
gurus,
the real estate gurus and all this stuff, right? I personally think they're just here for the next like 5 to 7 years max, bro. I'm not trying to be in this industry for 5 to 7 years. I'm trying to be in this industry for the next 20 years.
Exactly.
Right. So for me, giving the best, honest, genuine advice is what makes the most sense. Right. And what really, really pisses me off is like these people have had no skin in the game. Like all of us here have, we've had investment properties. We went through losses, right?
Big losses.
Big losses, bro. Right. Like we got fucked in certain markets. Okay. So we know. That's why when I tell the advice that, people don't want to hear, they're looking at me like, what the hell? You're an idiot. Like, how did you lose that kind of money?
So that's right? That's exactly it, right? So sorry to interrupt you, but like that's where our advice comes from. We have real skin in the game, and like we've experienced things, so we're able to prepare you. And like I think that I'm not trying to put down like the newer realtors, but like they just don't have that experience to gauge it. And also they're in grind mode, so they just want to close. Versus us, we are really trying to be here long term. We have the business to fall back on. So like there's all these little variables that causes them to behave a certain way, but go on.
No, it's because like adding on to what you're saying is because they see the commission. They're like, holy shit, I make this much money if I sell one unit. So now they're
that's why people even go into the profession,
exactly
right?
What it is, right?
It's like, hey, I sell 1 or 2 houses, I've made my salary, right? Or whatever it is. Right?
But it's not like that, bro. It's not as easy as that, Like that's one of the reasons why like I got my real estate license, because after that loss, I was like, bro, I don't want anybody to go through this shit. Because it was like for like a year or two, man, it was tough for me. Like I was like second mortgage, this, that, bro, credit cards maxed out. I was dying. Right. And at that point, I was like, bro, I don't want anybody to go through this. Whatever I'm doing, like I have to get my real estate license back, and I got to fucking finish this. And I didn't even have money to even do my real estate license, bro. That's how broke I was. Right. Somehow.
How long ago was this?
2020, I started studying for it, and then 2011, I got it back. Sorry, 2021, I got it back. Initially, what a lot of people don't know is that I initially started working on my license back in 2011 when I was 20 years old. Before anybody.
So you could say you're 15-year veteran then, or 14-year veteran.
Technically you can, but technically you can't. You know,
I'm surprised that's not on the bio.
Yeah,
But no, I'm just saying. I'm just kidding because like I know a lot of people do that.
Yeah,
right?
they do.
Yeah,
Like,
a lot of realtors
they've been in
would
it
do
for
that.
18 years,
yeah.
but literally you look at how many houses they sold.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
which I don't know if we're digressing here, but I don't know if you guys saw that stat on Instagram. I think Daniel
It's,
Foch. 75% of realtors didn't sell
a
anything.
house. Yeah, 24.
That's insane. Is that true?
Yeah,
That is
it
what
could
we
be
heard,
true.
yeah.
But 24% only sold one. So you can. I'm gonna write on my thing and be like, yo, I'm top 24%. You know, like, right?
That's why everybody is top 1%.
Yeah.
That's why every agent is top 1%.
And then everyone is a platinum this, award winning this, right? So, I mean, but yeah,
That's the
back
thing,
to-
right? Like the awards kind of like throw you off, right?
Okay,
Like,
so
it
you know
is.
what? Since we're on the topic, I didn't want to touch this, but people
Yeah.
keep telling me to talk about this.
yeah, all right, what is it?
But yeah, like the awards, the amount of transactions an agent does
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
year, like we have been brainwashed into thinking all the wrong things. So there's 52 weeks in a year.
I mean, you guys put
Yeah.
on a big show, man,
I know
for these awards.
they do. But
Like, I want to be part of the show, man.
okay, so let me just like try to like make it make sense, right? Like there's only 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah.
We've all been home buyers at some point. You know how much time you take of your realtor, how much time you spend with them. So now if you see in their marketing, and again, the marketing is all warped. It's not real anyways,
Yeah.
whatever.
Let's just
I
say
sell-
over 100 homes sold.
Okay, so you got to ask yourself, what is the expense here, right? How can someone sell 100 homes or 70 homes and then still look after you in a with a personal touch? How is that possible? How can I give
And keep
you
in mind, there's a lot of back end stuff that you guys do, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
just
yeah.
preparing, like just say one listing, like takes so much time to
It
prepare.
does, man.
You know,
It does,
if
yeah.
you have to renovate and paint and all that stuff, right? And at the same time, you're, you know, even like doing like market analysis for a certain neighborhood, like, and if you have an investor, there's even more stuff you're doing at the back, right?
If you know neighborhoods, bro, it's easy. Me, Hamilton, I think we specialize in like both like Scarborough, Markham, and you know the East End.
Yeah, for me,
Right.
I'm
East End
Seaton.
of-
I focus mainly on
Yeah.
Seaton and
So if
Pickering.
you pinpoint area to me, I will tell you right off the bat right now what the house is going for. I won't even have to do research because I just know, because every single day that's one of my
Well,
jobs.
you guys have a niche, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
But
that's the thing.
Not
Every
a lot
single
of
day,
people do.
yeah.
Yeah,
I just check, okay, what's on the market, what's been sold, right? And then it'll be like, yo, why the fuck is this house listed $200,000 more than the neighboring house that just sold for like $1 million?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's different things that go on, right? And I mean, this is where you find deals too, you know, in between.
I guess
all
that's
that.
what makes sense. So
Right,
if you're selling a lot of home or buying in a certain neighborhood and you only focus on neighborhood, then maybe you could do 100 homes or whatever it is, right? Because
You
know
could.
everything. You may even be, you know, double ending the deal because, you know what a client wants. You have the actual product for sale and just show them that and make it a quick sale, right? And you got 2 deals there.
Yeah, if the client knows that's where they want to be, that's the area you're focused in. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can make it absolutely.
I
you
think
can make
that's
that
the only
happen.
specific time, and you don't focus on anything else. You don't do investments downtown. You
No.
don't do investments in general,
Yeah,
other than your specific area.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just stick to one area. Then
Yeah.
it's possible. But again, how many houses are really getting sold in an area to like
Exactly.
really get that much business in one area?
So like
right?
that's all I would say to like if when you're hiring, like that is something to consider. Like I've had my buyers ask me, how many clients are you working with at a time?
That's a great
And-
question,
And
yeah.
if you tell them like a higher number, they're not going to want to work with you because they know they need your time.
Yeah, yeah.
They
And if you
need-
say 0, they'll be like, holy shit, why is not anyone using you?
Yeah.
Right?
And so, like I always say, like on social media, we only speak in superlatives.
But you know what?
Everything
You-
is extreme, and
yeah.
so like the sales data, all of that,
Yeah.
is very extreme. Like everybody's top 1% in Canada. They're getting all these awards. They're
Yeah,
selling
yeah,
hundreds of homes, and these are people we hire, but really they're. I don't want to call them out, but order takers, right? Like that is who
Yeah.
you're dealing
Yeah,
with in that scenario.
Well, like, even just going back to what he said, like if you're saying 0, to be honest, there are some people that'll be like, hey, you're gonna hustle. Like for me, 'cause
Oh, yeah.
I've had clients that were like, I chose this one guy, like who's maybe new or even their cousin or whatever it is, but has no experience because they know they'll hustle, get them to be the first person
Yeah,
to see
yeah,
this
yeah.
listing. Go knock on the neighbors' doors or whatever it is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So there is a certain market that actually would
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah,
0,
without a
right?
doubt,
And be
without a
your
doubt.
Yeah,
only
yeah.
like client,
Well,
right?
I
So-
never say 0. I'm like, yeah, just a couple.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
No, for sure. Like I think I mean, I'm sure you are always working with the couple too, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's not like
there's
you
always
need to
one or
lie
two
about that,
come
right?
and-
So,
but then again, bro, there's people that come and go too. So like,
Yeah.
like you probably deal with this. We'll start looking, and then a month later, be like, yo, I don't want to look anymore. I think we're just
Yeah.
gonna rent or something like that. They kind of leave.
Yeah.
Right. So and then that gets depressing too, because you just spent like a whole month driving around, looking at these homes, putting offers, talking to the client, right, and doing all this groundwork, and then it's like, oh, okay. I mean,
But like,
at
you know
that
what?
point,
I will say, like, you really only encounter that
Yeah.
more so at the beginning of your career.
Yeah, yeah,
Like when
yeah.
you're just like, you know, you
Yes,
just want to
brand
just
new.
get the ball
Yeah,
rolling.
yeah.
But I think over time, like
you
it's
know how
super
to
easy
vet after.
gauge.
Yeah.
I guess you know
how
what
to
they
vet.
want to, right? Like
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
needs, and show them actually, like, I mean, you guys
Yeah.
are the realtors, so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just assuming that's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you have to really vet them, bro.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
like on the mortgage side, that's what I do on our initial call
Yeah,
always, right?
yeah.
Like, if I find out you have no income and you're trying to go down that route, I'm like, hey, you gotta find someone else.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's
I'm not.
it. We
I'm not.
don't have
I'm
time
not
to
be a
waste.
person. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
It
try to do that in the
doesn't-
first 15 minutes, right? Like, or not first 15, first 5-10 minutes, right?
Yeah,
So, but like that's like, I think that comes with experience, right? You start to vet people
Yo,
out,
I can't even imagine the amount of calls that you must have got. Not meaning on the mortgage side, hello.
dude. Like, the worst is when they're like, no, we had to meet in person.
yeah.
Like, because like the phone is being recorded
Yeah,
by a
yeah,
CRA
yeah,
or something,
yeah,
but
yeah.
like they want to meet in person. I'm like, dude, I already know where this is going. Like, listen,
Alabur Rasami,
I'm
that's
telling
it.
you right now, if you're not claiming any income
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
think I'm gonna give you a mortgage or get you a mortgage
Yeah.
that is way beyond what you're claiming,
Yeah,
I'm
then
sorry,
it's-
buddy.
yeah,
like,
it's not
Yeah,
gonna
you got to
work
get
out,
pre-qualified if you're
Yeah.
going to get into the
Yeah,
market.
like-
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to get pre-qualified, then you need to make a private mortgage your plan A.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
straight up.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
should be plan
Without a
A
doubt.
because
your interest rate is not
It's
3
not
or
gonna be
4%,
good.
it's 9 or 10%. Like,
that is. Yeah.
do your
exactly.
math out based on that. Right?
And then if you're
My
lucky
God,
enough to
man.
get qualified for a normal mortgage, then you do.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, you got to do your due diligence
Yeah.
and get pre-qualified. Otherwise, you're going to struggle
Dude,
out there.
one of the worst things that I hate hearing from realtors is like, don't worry about the mortgage, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
that is the biggest red flag.
This
Yeah.
is how it goes. அது பிரச்சனை இல்ல அண்ணா நாங்க வந்து A lender வந்து எடுத்து போடுவோம். And
Oh
then
my God.
they put their closing time and everything. The things get closer. It's like உங்களோட credit score சரியில்லை.
Yeah.
B lenderக்கு வந்து போகணும். And then literally like 2 days before closing, bro, I've heard scenarios where they get pushed into private, which is
100%.
like 9,
Yeah,
10%.
100%, man. That
right?
happens
And it's not just
so
9,
often.
10% interest. There's broker fee, there's lender fee, bro.
Bro,
It
realtors,
all-
I've seen the realtor take a fee.
Oh, yeah?
I've seen the realtor
Yeah,
take a
man,
fee,
yeah,
man.
yeah. You know the
Because
story
you know
I
some realtors have their own license too, like
Yeah.
broker license, like
Yeah.
mortgage
Yeah,
license,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So they know scenarios like this come up, so they'll take the fee
Yeah,
too, man.
Yeah. See, this is where it starts getting
Yeah.
real shady.
Man,
Okay.
Oh man, yeah.
What else we got? What else do we want to cover? Like, I feel like we've just been realtor mortgage broker bashing
yeah,
for
yeah.
the last 15 minutes. That was not the goal. We're not bashing
Yeah, yeah, we're
anybody.
not- yeah,
I think
yeah.
we're just trying to speak to how these situations even arise.
I think you just have to do
And-
your due diligence, right?
Yeah,
like
that's what
it all
the
comes
main
down to
thing
that.
is,
It all comes
right?
down to that,
Like
yeah.
coming down to it, like it's like buying a stock, right? If you get a free stock tip online and you buy, let's say, I don't know, let's just say Shopify or something, and it goes down, or even Bitcoin or one of these like coins, and it goes down, you have no one to blame but yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Wall Street bets for the
Yeah.
win.
So, in a similar fashion, in a similar fashion, you're gonna take, you're gonna get real estate advice. I get it. Realtors are professionals, but some of them don't specialize in investments, right? And because business is slow right now, like you guys mentioned, like. Yeah, you're gonna see them pushing certain, projects
they are
that may
getting
not make
desperate. Yeah,
sense
yeah,
for
yeah,
every
yeah,
single person.